What's up, guys? What's up, guys? My name is Jimmy, and today I am sharing with you my story of the last 9 years on testosterone replacement therapy. I'll keep it short and sweet, no fancy editing. Join here about my two puppies, and not going to do anything crazy today. I won't promote anything. The only thing that I will say is that this entire video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not try or do anything that I tell you. This is just my experience and what I've experienced in the last 9 years since been putting on testosterone replacement therapy. So, be 31 in June. I was put on at 22. The way that I figured it out was I had torn about 4 muscles in succession from one another, all within 6 months. So first it was the trap, then it was my left erector, then it was my supraspinatus, and then like a year later, this trap went too. So I started to realize, because I was fully mobile, had perfect form, didn't overtrain, I started to realize that there was probably some sort of underlying issue going on there. Unfortunately, my doctors just wanted to give me a antidepressant because one of the symptoms of low testosterone is depression. But you'll see that a lot in the medical industry, where they tend to treat the symptom, not the actual root cause of the issue. So if someone is depressed because they have low testosterone, more often than not, they'll just put you on an SSRI and call it a day without actually fixing the root of the problem. So that was my experience. I kind of had to be my own advocate. I got a blood test done at 22. My free test was 331, which probably should have been at least double that, closer to 700-800 for a 21, 22-year-old male who ate well, trained hard, etc. And it took me a little bit to find the right protocol, find someone who was willing to help me, but I can recall the people in my life at the time being a little bit skeptical once I told them that I had chosen to go on testosterone replacement therapy. And within about a month, those same people had noticed that they're like, "You're a different person. No more anxiety, no more panic attacks, very little depression within reason. If something happened, that's a different story, but no actual like major depressive disorder." And then it got me thinking too, like my dad died young at 48. He had all the symptoms of low testosterone, yet they claimed he was bipolar. And one of the medications that ended up killing him was one of his bipolar medications. So I did not want to go that same route, potentially having very similar issues to my father, and he rests in peace. And now I'm looking back, and it's been 9 years almost since I've been put on testosterone replacement therapy. Best decision I've ever done. Like most things, you have to be responsible, so I haven't always been truly on just my replacement dosage for all of these 9 years. I compete, I'm a bodybuilder, I've done 5 shows in the last 9 years, so you can do the math there, we don't have to talk about that, but I did want to specifically talk about testosterone and men's mental health, because I feel like any man over the age like 35, not always, but pushing 35 to 40, tends to start having these symptoms of low testosterone. So you're going to be fatigued, you're going to be unmotivated, depressed, poor sleep, no energy, mood swings, like things like that, right? So now I have a keen eye for these type of things, so that when my friends come to me describing certain side effects and whatnot, I'm like, you should get your blood work done. So I went from being a injured, depressed, in shape, but injured, depressed 22-year-old trainer to someone who was loving life again within the matter of 6 months of being put on testosterone replacement therapy. My mind was clear, my relationships were better, my physique had drastically improved, obviously. But then the other side of this slope is that, you feel what my replacement dosage was 200 milligrams, right? So I'm like, man, I feel really good on 200 milligrams. I wonder what 300 would feel like. And then I wonder what 400 would feel like. And I wonder what adding in a little bit of Anavar or another compound would feel like, right? And that's where the slippery slope comes in. I think I'll speak for myself, I was chasing the validation of other people, the judges, females at the time when I was still single, and didn't really care what it was doing to my body, as long as it made me bigger, faster, stronger, leaner, more vascular, something along those lines, right? Now, after having done pretty much everything I wanted to do with my body and burning it all down over the last 8 to 9 years, I've kind of realized that the competitive aspect of bodybuilding is not necessarily for me. I don't want to take copious amounts of stimulants and drugs just to lose for a political reason anyway. Different story for a different day. But if there's one thing I've learned over the course of these last 9 years is that not having it is just as bad as having too much of it. So I was a person that was still training hard, lifting 5-6 days a week, eating well, counting every fucking calorie indefinitely for like 3 years straight. Got put on replacement therapy at 22, and within like a month or two, most of my aches, pains, anxiety, that kind of stuff went away. But then again came the slope of I was going to prep for another show, and I was doing the NPC. So I couldn't compete in natural federations anymore, even though I was on a script for test, because it was on testosterone, right? So that kind of opened the door to start dabbling in some other compounds and things that, aren't necessarily super healthy for you. And then the other aspect of it too is like, I had no quality of life before testosterone. I was just sad, depressed, like a girl on her period, basically, right, all the time, and feeling like a 95-year-old man with no motivation. When my testosterone was the opposite and peaked to super physiological doses, I didn't feel good either. I was a head case, I couldn't control my anger, and I think a lot of people downplay the side effects of this stuff. It is hormones. Hormones control you unless you control them first. And I definitely had a lot of hard learning experiences when I was in my, we'll say my running days, when it wasn't just tests, but there was things like tren and clenbuterol and all of those things that would go along with cutting or prepping for a show. It changed me, right? Just like testosterone initially had a positive impact on me mentally and physically, using too much of the shit in the long term changed me too. Thankfully, I never really had any issues besides like a little bit of high blood pressure that I control. And now I just competed in September, had a good end result, wasn't super happy, didn't really agree with the judging, but that's neither here nor there. I absolutely murdered myself for 4 months to get ready, and I was about 4% body fat. If I end up editing this video, I'll overlay some videos or pictures over just so you can see, like start to finish. But I literally felt like the fucking Walking Dead. My estrogen was crashed at the very end, had no energy, no sex drive, like could barely form a conversation with my significant other, my fiance, who's been nothing but supportive, but I was just an asshole half the time, right? So moral lesson here is that too much of anything is a bad thing, and not having optimal amounts of things like your hormones is just as bad too. So if there's one thing I could offer, it's definitely if you have symptoms of low T, i.e. fatigue, depression, can't sleep, no energy, no motivation, just generally not feeling well as a male. If you eat well and train hard, but you still don't feel well, then I would highly encourage you to get a blood panel done and see where your hormones are at. The other part of this too is that abusing it, just like for super physiological levels, will give you the same side effects that you had before being on testosterone, but worse. So like if I had panic attacks and anger issues before being put on testosterone, all it's gonna do is that hormone is amplifying who I am even more, right? So yeah, I was a fucking head case, and I can admit that, right? So testosterone and men's mental health kind of go in line together. They should always be correlated together, and it's really important to have optimal amounts, but it's important not to be too high either, right? Just like anything. So my quality of life these days is much better than it was before I was on TRT. Yeah, and it is much better than when I was actively competing as well. I have no major health issues, no heart issues, thank God. With the recklessness that I had in my 20s, I definitely got lucky that I didn't have more issues than I already did, but I was also pretty cognizant about it. I took my support supplements, I always checked my blood pressure, always kind of did my blood panels, and oversaw doctors to make sure that I was healthy while I chose to go down this route. So we'll kind of keep the video short. I want to end it here. I'm sure you guys have a ton more questions. I used to do YouTube in the past. During COVID, I had a couple thousand subscribers and making videos just like this, and I think they accused me of trying to sell something or whatever, and they banned the channel. So no harm, no foul. We're back now. This is Jimmy from Everything Bodybuilding. Make sure you guys tune in because I have quite a bit of videos I've just been piling in the back of my head, getting ready to make for you guys. And today's a snow day, so I actually had the time to do it. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your experience. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button so you don't miss every video that I post. And for now, we'll see you guys soon. This is Diesel.